This is my freshly acquired 1959 International 240 utility tractor, which I just purchased from a few miles away and ultimately screwed myself on, but I think it will be okay. So let's go ahead and dive into it. This tractor was listed as ran 4 years ago. The carburetor is off of it, and that's it. So, okay, sitting 4 years, carb is off, probably was running poorly. Okay. So, that seems fine. This thing is $800. Okay, deal. So I go down there, and turns out we put a battery on it to spin it, to make sure it spins, and it doesn't spin. And I grab the fan, and it won't budge. And then we put it in gear and try to drag it with the winch, and the tires just drag. So this engine is seized. And then, once we discovered that it was seized, we then decided to move into checking the oil. And I dropped this oil pan here, and a whole bucket of water and antifreeze fell out of it. And then oil came out last. So that's not really good either. So this engine got water in it from sitting, and then it rusted, and now it is seized. So why do I even have it? Well, I went ahead and decided to get it anyway because of the platform that it is. I was looking at some of the older, like 40s tractors and whatnot, and this one's a little bit newer, a little more modern, and has a little bit more room for capability in the future. It already has hydraulics on it. Right now it's just running this one ram back here for a 3-point hitch, but there is mounts here to add a front loader or whatever else, so that's going to be pretty nice. We have our remote right there, and yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. It's got a 4-speed. It'll get up to about 12 miles an hour, which is going to be pretty fast in this small yard if I even ever need to go that fast. And it's in rough shape, but I think that just, ties it in where, being what I'm going to use it for, I don't have to care that much. So that part's nice. So what I'm going to do here is I've got the cylinders full of a special sauce mixture that I learned from a master tech at a restoration shop I work for, and I used it before on a seized engine and it worked. So I'm hoping that it will work on this one. Looking down the cylinders, cylinder 3 looks like the one that's bad. That's the one that was in the right position where it got full of water. And it looks like top end, because when I took the pan off, I looked up in there, and everything on the bottom end looks like new. Everything's clean. There's nothing's weirdly discolored or has any type of rust. The cam looks perfect. Everything bottom end looks flawless. I don't know how well you can see, but those cylinders are brand spanking new in there. The crank is perfect. The cam is perfect. So the bottom end of this thing is flawless, except for all the sludgy mess that's in the pan. But ignoring that, there's nothing actually wrong down there. So it's all up here at top end where there's problems. The top of it looks like this, rusty. That makes me feel like there's a good chance of this working out all right. So the mixture here is going to be using almost an entire can of PB Blaster, and then just evenly spraying that in the holes. I spray that first. I then use ATF. I pour a little bit of ATF. You can see my jug right there. Pour a little bit of ATF in all 4 cylinders, not a whole lot. And then Marvel Mystery Oil is the final additive here. And again, you pour, I'd say half the, they come in this little bottle. I pour half the bottle across all 4 cylinders. And then optionally add a little bit of diesel fuel, not much, just a little bit in each cylinder if you want. I did not do that in this case, but I'm just going to see if this initial mixture works first. So the hardest part about getting this engine unseized is going to be waiting. You're going to have to sit there and wait for days and days, possibly a couple weeks, basically from head gasket up, and we should be good to go. The trans fluid is, of course, all kind of yellow in there. We pulled this cap off and it's all yellow, like some water had gotten into it. I've ran into that before, so we'll drain it and put new fluid in it, and that should be all right. These tires, they're from 2014 and they're in great shape. They don't have any rot or nothing. They have all the tread, so I'm really happy with the tires. They're really good. So that's a big hurdle I don't have to worry about. The exhaust, I think this is how water got in it, is that they just used like plumbing pipe and they just kind of shoved it down here in the exhaust port. They just kind of shoved it in there. And so yeah, water probably got in there. And there's a whole bunch of nasty crud that got in there, along with pine needles, all kinds of stuff in there. It's just crazy. So yeah, so I'll have to clean all that out, but it should come together. I think it'll be all right. It'll be a good boy. Okay, here we are again with our 4-cylinder International engine here, and I did manage to get the engine free. Let me show you real quick how I managed to accomplish such a thing. It's not fully free yet. There we go, right there. This is exactly the position that cylinder was sitting, I think, well, close to anyway. These were my original marks where I had marked where the engine was sitting. And just to give an idea on how I accomplished this, I had all the cylinders sitting in that soak, which is still in that cylinder. I need to clean it out, but I used this guy right here. It's just a piece of steel pipe, stick it in there, and I used my mallet here, and I just gave them, some light pop, 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 holding my hand all the way here at the end, no swing force really, and just giving it that shock hit basically. And I'd go from one, I'd go to the other, and I was just kept making passes. I did this for probably about 30 minutes before I actually got it to budge, and by budge, I mean you're talking barely moved, just enough that I could see where there was kind of a rust-ish ring right where my cylinder was, and I saw it go down just the tiniest little bit, barely visible, go down, and that's how I could tell. But once I got there, then I was able to tell which cylinders wanted to go down, which ones needed to go up in order for this to go down, because the problem here is that this cylinder couldn't go up because of all this junk here. The cylinder 3 is just not good. Normally I don't even bother if it's this bad, but we're gonna give it a shot. So anyhow, once I got there, figured out which ones wanted to send this piston down, and I kept alternating between those two. I forgot which they were, and then finally we got to where we are now, where we can pretty much spin the engine everywhere except for where this cylinder wants to come up through this little area right here. So now I'm going to send this piston as far down as I can, so that way I have room to work. Because my next step here is I want to hone on all this garbage up here and see if that will get rid of it. Let's get a close view on that stuff. I mean, it's not great. This cylinder definitely sat completely full of water. It's kind of, I mean, it's not super scaly, but it's just a little bit of scaly-ish. Not much, but we'll see if she comes around or not. So my plan here is, once I get that guy down, I've got this little stone cylinder tool. I like the ball one, but I couldn't find one anywhere, so this is what I found. So I'm going to use that, and I got my McDonald's cup here. I'm going to fill this with ATF. I got my ATF jug there. Fill that, and I'm going to dip that in the ATF and use that for my lubricant. And I'm just going to go slow, go around a couple times. I might hit this cylinder too. I mean, it's just got like some light surface. It's not bad, but you know, couple little passes with that should be fine. This is the one where I'm going to be trying to work to really get that surface flat, so that way these rings can actually slide up on through. Is it possible to just force it through there by continuing to tap? Maybe, but I'm going to try to be nice with it, so I'm going to start there. So, yep. Just real quick so you can see before I start, you can tell now that I have the cylinder as far down as I can how far down the cylinder was and where it filled with water. So right there, clean, shiny, new, and then rusty garbage up here. So let's see if we can make it all the same-ish. Here we go. Just kind of sticking that in there, going in here, and just kind of hitting her lightly in there. Not going very fast. I've already done a little bit of damage there, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe that down just to clean up all that loose rust that just came off immediately. I mean, I barely even touched this. So I'm trying to work one-handed here for you guys. Just see what I got so far, because I also don't want to be grinding in a bunch of rust. Yeah, see, it's all still there, but I'm going to work it real slow here. So now that you see how it's working, I'm going to go at it a few times and see where I get. Alright, I've got it pretty well cleaned up in here. You can still visually see, you know, some stuff on there, but it feels very flat. It feels just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and see if we can give her a spin now. So let's see how this works. And unfortunately my fan keeps spinning on the thing, but maybe I can get it to work. There's still some fluid there that will spill when it comes up. That's okay. Oh, but it's still hit right there. Not quite good enough. Almost there. Today's experiment, we gotta know. We're gonna try an age-old trick here. I've never tried before, but we're gonna, you know, F around and find out today. Today, we're gonna attempt to reuse a head gasket. This is the head gasket that came off this motor. And this motor basically has, I don't know how much of a chance of running. Got it spinning all the way, but what I'm going to do for this is Permatex copper spray a gasket. And it's even got a cylinder head and a head gasket right there. So the idea is you spray this on both sides of the gasket, and of course we will get the all four surfaces perfectly clean. I've already cleaned them, but I'll clean them again. And then we're not going to use this on the block or the head, just on the two surfaces on the gasket. And that is supposed to seal the imperfections within the head gasket, as long as you got a good one, as long as it's not blown out and it's like a metal or copper one, and that's what this one is. So it seems okay. I couldn't find anywhere where it looked like there was transfer going on, so we're going to try this trick out. And theory here, $10 for this can versus spending about $70-80 to get head gasket kit and waiting about a week for it to show up. So gonna find out right now if this works. Here we go, yo. It says right on it, clean it, spray on both sides of the gasket, avoid overspray. Well, we're gonna overspray on this tire here that nobody cares about. So dropped it. We're gonna give it a shot right now. Spray paint it. I don't know how thick it's supposed to be, but I'll just get it until it's all nice and shiny. Still don't know how many coats to give it, but we'll figure it out. Flip it over. We got a little something there. Fix that. Alright, there she is. I had to work quick before some leaves or something fell on the gasket. So you can see the copper line there where the gasket's in there. And I did torque this properly, so for this engine, work inside out. I start there at that center bolt and then just go bump, 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 bump. And I went 30, 60, 90. That's how I did torque on this. My valves are free, so the next step is I've got to clean up this these rocker arms here. Clean them all up, make sure they're all moving freely, and then get this reinstalled along with the push rods. And then once I have that set, I can clean around here around the edge and reseal my valve cover. And then this thing is almost all the way sealed back up. So making progress one step at a time. Okay, cylinder head on. I got my valve train back on and my valve cover on. Are all sealed up, and all that's left is the oil pan to clean out, so that way it's ready to accept some new oil. But I'm going to go ahead and hook up my battery here just so we can spin the starter, spin the motor just a little bit, and just make sure it all sounds and seems okay. Just a little bit, since there's gunk in there. I don't want to run too much gunk through the motor. So it's technically, we cleaned a lot of it out, I think. So yeah, so that's what we're up to. All right, battery's in, key on, and we'll give her starter. Seems a little iffy, but it's working. We're spinning. Sounds good. Don't hear any weird sounds, so we get to continue on. Okay, so today I'm going to update the gauges here, because I don't know if any of them work. That one clearly doesn't, or even if it does, you couldn't read what it says, and whatever that one is missing. So The only one of these I'll keep is the hour meter. That should still work, and it's still legible, so it looks to be in alright shape. It says 779 hours, but I don't know how accurate that is because it was unplugged when I got it, so not sure. This button's kind of, the button and key button are kind of iffy. It needs a new choke mechanism there. I cut this so that way I didn't have to take the steering wheel off because that was a pain. I normally don't like cutting up old metal too much, but this is just gonna make it 9 times easier. So I'll just cut this a little straighter now that I have room. Okay, now we got all the junk out and we have a bare plate here. So we're gonna take this out back and clean it up and paint it up. New gauges are in. Now I'm just gonna wait on, I have an ignition switch coming, and once that comes, then I'll be able to wire this all up, and then it'll go right back on the tractor. Seems like running to me, Bobby. All right, ready?
Yep.
Hold on.
Howdy, guys.
Who knew? Just a little half moon. It's all it takes to prevent you from steering at all. Just got the old one out. It came out in 4 little pieces. And I think this one looks about the right size. Probably got 20 cents right here. And that's what's gonna fix this steering. It goes right in there in that little slot. The other side catches that groove right there. I guess I got a lot of grease to clean off. Ugh. Welcome back. It's been a few days later, and I've done a few little things here. The carburetor I bought was the wrong carburetor, so we kind of rebuilt this one for free with Permatex and brake clean, basically. I got my little fuel sediment bowl here. Also have a fuel filter there. So that's our little fuel system there. No fuel pump on these. It's pure gravity feed. We can see there's a little bit of junk down there in the bottom of that sediment bowl. So that thing's doing its job. I put this on there before that crap, or after this crap showed up, so that should hopefully take care of. But this just gives us another little visibility point, and you can unscrew these to bleed air or check that there is fuel in the tank. This has no fuel gauge. I don't even know if it came with a fuel gauge, but yeah. Our copper head gasket is in place. I have a piece of erector here that's operating my throttle linkage. It's held with a zip tie there because I can't fit a bolt in there. I haven't got a breather for it yet, and I have an oil leak here at the top of the oil filter housing, and I currently don't have my oil pressure gauge hooked up because this thing has a slightly different fitting in it. So I have this old line here that's cut at the other end, and there's no oil coming out of it, but it does definitely have oil pressure because I took off the line, and when it ran, it puked oil everywhere out of that. So it's got fuel pressure, just that line is probably plugged up with garbage, and I don't have my fitting to hook this crappy nylon to, which I should probably just throw away and get some copper line or something. But anyway, ignoring that, so have gotten it running, have got it, let's see, just a little bit up in temperature. Haven't had it running for that long because this belt here is about to just disintegrate. So I'm gonna need a new belt, and I don't have a charging system yet. This is still the 6-volt generator. I haven't got that replaced. I have a couple alternators to try to see if I can get them to mount. But yeah, I got that to do. I added the muffler here from the DeVille, and a flap, of course, so I don't want to deal with putting a can on top of it all the time. I know I'll forget. And then I do want to relocate the battery. And we do have our 3-way key ignition there, and we are working. Here's the rear hydraulic 3-point hitch. Uses this lever right here and raise and lower that hitch. It's not fully assembled yet, but you know, it'll get there. I gotta get a replacement for these arms. I'll probably still use these, and then I gotta get a piece for the 3rd point right there. Yeah, PTO works too, but I don't really have anything that's going to use that, so it's whatever. Has it though. This is the current muffler situation. This pipe just dives in that hole, and it's just kind of loosely hanging out there. Well, there it goes. Yeah, so we're going to replace that. We're still using the People's pipe, but we're going to use a pipe flange on top of there, and then the pipe can screw in here. And then when I need to take the muffler off, I'll just take the muffler portion, which you can see is the silver part there, because I'm just going to have a clamp on that. And with a little bit of wire wheeling and enough goop, this should seal probably better than what we have right now. Well, it's really windy. I'm going to try to block it out as best I can, but I think this is going to wrap this video right here. Our tractor, the old International here, the copper head gasket seems to be working so far. I've had this thing up about 200 degrees, and I don't see anything puking out of it. I can't tell. Wow, the wind. I can't tell if we're overheating or not because I lost my belt, so the fan's not working. So I can't really say on that, but I don't appear to have any water in my oil. and I haven't appeared to lose any coolant yet. There might still be ants in here. Yep, there's ants in there, but it's still full in there. So there's an ant farm living in it. Appears we're not losing coolant, so I think that worked. I tried using a zip tie on the fan, and that didn't work. So zip tie for a belt does not work. I'm gonna have to actually get a belt. It works, but as soon as you put on a lid on it, it snaps. So not the case. And that was with extra heavy duty zip ties. I did add a fuse box on here. So this is the main wire from the key, and it's gonna power this little fuse box. Right now it's just got the ignition and that's it, but later we add more things. And then over here, our fuel system, I got us this clear fuel filter and our sediment bowl, and it's just hosed through. I need to add a shutoff, but that's all I got left to do. And you can see there's ants. There's ants in the fuel filter too. There's ants living in this thing everywhere. I stole this alternator off Matt's Nissan engine that's blown up. He won't need it, so all I got to do is wire it up, and then that'll work. It pretty much fits, and the belt alignment is pretty much spot on. So happy with that. My erector linkage has been working okay, so happy with that. I gotta make a battery mount. And then I went ahead and barbecue grill painted the Cadillac muffler, and I got the flapper on there, the rain cap. So we're looking pretty good. A few more messing arounds and this thing should be running and driving okay. And then gonna work on the hitch setup back here, so that way we can have our rear hydraulics be usable. And went ahead and painted the wheels black just because. I think I'm kind of just going black. Every part that I've taken off, I've kind of cleaned up and have been painting black. So we're gonna continue that for now. Yeah. There will be more videos on this machine in the future, but I think I'm going to make them separate. I think this concludes. If you want to spray paint your head gasket with copper spray, it does seem to work. I can't say how long it will last. We'll point that out in a future video when I have some more hours on it. See if anything happens with it, but as of right now, I've ran it quite a few times and it seems to be holding, interestingly enough. I have in the back of my mind ready to buy a head gasket kit if that is to fail, so prepared for that to fail, but we're just going to let it ride as long as it will decide to last. So we'll see how long that lasts, but for now it does fix, and it will get you somewhere. Anyhow, we'll see you on the next episode.